please give a big welcome to Tina Dreyer, Sarah Swinton.
Thank you, Arvin. He held my hand on this PowerPoint presentation, which I'd never done before. I think I really like to do it. It's really fun. And thank you for all your help and your encouragement. Sarah is my right hand. We're, I guess, partners in crime for the garden. And I'm just delighted she's here tonight because we've taken the garden in the last 10 years to a new level, and it's really been fun. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. The photo that you see right now is Timmy Gallagher, who is 90 years old, and we invited her to come tonight, but she's had some family illness and could not make it. But Sarah's known Timmy for many years, grew up in Woodside, and Timmy, and so she knows a lot about her. But it turned in the late 60s, the town of Woodside was formed, and they built the library on their property, and in the back of the library was about an acre of land surrounded with a chain link fence. And Timmy thought, well, wouldn't this be a great place to build a garden? And also would keep children. She thought maybe the school kids would come over and smoke in the back area. But that was sort of her motivation. But Sarah has also told me that Timmy came from the East Coast and grew up there. And when she married, she moved to Woodside, and she was taken with the beauty of California native plants. And so she's had a long time love with native plants and her knowledge, and particularly wildflowers. So it was just natural that she wanted to take this garden into California native plants. And let's see she talked with the town of Woodside, and through all the permitting and such, they agreed to go ahead and establish this. She talked with local residents. They needed money. The garden club, which she was a member, she's been a member of the garden club since 1950, I think, something like that. A long time. She's been a long time and very active in the Garden Club of America as well. We needed money, and I think the garden club came up with some funds. But she went around and put notices in all the mailboxes in Woodside asking for money. And I think she was successful, but she was also had her hand slapped because it's illegal to do that. Anyway, she just took it from nothing to what it is today, or what it is today, and we still enjoy it. And this is a picture of part of our garden with some garden benches which people can enjoy, and the dogwood is Eddie's White Wonder, which we have several of those. So in April it's really beautiful if you enjoy dogwoods, and they've done very well for us. And then I found some older pictures of the time that was dedicated. There she is we have a bin for compost. And then it shows Timmy, and I don't know who's there. Doesn't matter. Dedicating the library in 1970, excuse me. Jack Stafford, who is a resident of the town of Woodside and an associate of Tommy Church. I'm sure you've seen some of Tommy Church's gardens, and well known. He donated his time for the plan of the garden, and he oversaw the construction. And the hardscape is just a beautiful garden with all that. We've maintained that. There were ecosystems that he set up, and we've not changed any of that. We've had to replace some retaining walls, but in that, what his design still holds. It's beautiful. At the time, there was the redwood grove that was planted, and you can see a dedication of a 10-foot redwood On the right, you'll see the redwoods today. They're just amazing what happened in time. But and this is the plan of the garden. I have a brochure which also has that. And we're looking from the bottom is the library, looking north. And you can see we have a redwood grove, and we have grass. We have a meadow grass area. And we have chaparral. Down on the left-hand side is a riparian area. It's quite wet. The garden slopes, and so the water goes down there. So we have a lot of water-loving plants, which is fun to have.
So it slopes down towards the lake?
It slopes down, yeah, so we have got some drainage. We've put in some new drainage. But down there we have a birch, and we have darmara, and
It's actually quite boggy in that bottom corner.
So we have ferns, and it's very pretty. And okay, so as time went on, we have a few pictures of the garden in the 80s, and you can see how lush and just beautiful with the size of the plants. Nice variety. More view. The backrest in front is still there, so here we're talking about 40-year-old backrest. We cut it back about every other year, cut it back severely, but it just comes back. It's a wonderful ground cover, low maintenance. The garden club committed them to maintain the garden, and these are some of our members who would work with Timmy. Here's another view. We have beautiful poppies. More workers, which we still have today. I have ladies once a month come and help me in the garden. And that works out pretty well. And the Anathera, which is everywhere.
Which one is that?
That's Anathera.
Which? That's what
Yeah.
Oh.
We have it volunteering all over the garden, and so it's very pretty. It's nice because it blooms for about half of the year.
So you don't need to replant it each year?
Oh, no. I'm constantly pulling it out.
Yeah.
But no, it goes all over the garden.
Is it a perennial, annual?
It's a perennial. It just gets bigger and bigger. And so we were just at the garden today, and I pulled out a lot of it, so we have brand new little plants below it. So it's nice and green, and it looks good.
But one's coming on.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
The little birds love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so the garden flourished quite well, but problems arose in the 90s. Many of the problems came with underground irrigation. Clogged emitters, lines cut from raccoons, gophers, poor water coverage, difficult to track the problem until a plant died. And over the years, plants outgrew their space, some migrated to different beds, and then we had a lot of volunteer oaks that just were never pulled when they were babies, and they got really big. And when Timmy decided to do the underground drip irrigation, we did have overhead irrigation. It was to save water, and it was very popular at that time to go ahead and do that. However, the lines were buried, and we just didn't know. I'm sure if any of you did that, you know the problems, and even today we have constant maintenance on the garden. In the year 2000, I was president of the garden club, and one of the members came up and said, well, what are you going to be doing? What are you going to do for the garden club as president? And I sort of took me back and, oh, no. And I'd been working in the garden, and Sarah and I had been working in the garden, and we weren't making any progress. We were just sort of maintaining. We couldn't really make it. We'd plant plants, and they'd die. And we felt that we really needed to do a major rejuvenation. So here was a beginning of our rejuvenation in the year 2000. I'm sure if you have clay soil, you'll recognize this. We had just really bad soil. And I'd done some little bit of research on gravel gardens and stuff like, and things like that. So we decided to incorporate rough edged gravel in the garden and compost to see if that would help some of the plants thrive, because they were, what we planted, they weren't thriving. We had oaks on the perimeter, on the west and the north side. The garden has very large live oaks, and we had those pruned. We had 5 oaks running down the middle of the garden, and we had those removed. We hired Ron Lutzko, who was the designer of the native plant garden in San Francisco Botanic Garden, and he agreed. He knew the garden, and he gave us a very special price. He drew us a plan of plants, a map of plants, and this was important because so many new native plant introductions were available and weren't available in 1970. So this allowed us to go out and shop like crazy. This is a bed the first year. My husband is very involved with the irrigation, thanks to him. He pulled up all the lines. He's very good at putting all these things together. And we pull them up and we put in micro sprinklers in many areas. And then in some plants they'll have just a simple emitter. But the micro sprinklers seem to work better for us. And that was a spice bush in the middle of that just never did well, never had enough water. That is no longer there. This is mostly a salvia bed. This is a mimulus bed, newly planted. You can see the gravel, somewhat struggling.
That was early on.
This is early on. This is like our first year. So down off of the terrace, you can see the Dudleya. We did a little rock garden Dudleya bed, and then the next behind it is the mimulus bed, and then beyond that you'll see a little mound of soil up in the upper left. We brought in soil, and that is our meadow with a mixture of native grasses. And bringing in the soil was a really good idea, and I wish that we had brought in more soil in all the beds because plants were very happy there. And this is, yeah, that's the meadow, newly planted. And we bought most of the grasses up at Cornflower Farms near Sacramento. We bought liners, small little things, and that worked. A nice mixture of those and some rocks. After 1 year, the grass was just beautiful. It just made our hearts sing with that.
So what are those grasses, the grayish, bluish?
Okay, that is Festuga meadowensis siskio blue. We had, and then there are some of the other ones. We have Calamagrostis foliosa, a lot of Nacella lepida, Festuga californica olimpali, and then Muhlenbergia. And recently we planted this yellow flowers. I'll think of that.
Oh, this is
Added the
This is ranking.
no.
yellow white grass.
Wait.
Yeah,
Okay. Let's see. Maybe I didn't hear that.
In the picture, it looks like blue-eyed grass.
Yeah, there's some blue-eyed grass. It's really quite dense now. Anyway, and then the first year we cut it back, and I had a nice young man gardener who just did it all by hand, which we don't do anymore, but it looks so nice. I took a picture.
So each one of those is a grass cut
Yeah,
down to shape
yeah,
into a little ball.
yeah.
Looks nice.
It did look nice. Now we use a string trimmer to cut them back.
But do you do that every year? Or
We didn't do it last year. I wish I had. I'm going to try to do it, and we're going to do it shortly because most of these are cool season grasses, and so we'll cut them back, and then it just doesn't take very long for them to grow back.
If you don't, it gets very messy.
It's matted, and right now it's sort of matted, and we have grasses in other beds too, and they'll all be wet. Okay, how do we pay for all of our shopping and our efforts? And so we started, Sarah and I started a plant sale in the year 2000, and we grew a lot of our own plants, divided from our garden and from our members' gardens. Sarah, we gathered them at her house for 2 months ahead of the plant sale, so we could take care of them, fertilize them, and that. We did buy some plants, and the first year was small. I think we made $2,000 or $3,000, which we were thrilled. It was wonderful. And this is our sale, our last sale that we had. And no, this isn't 2003, but it just really caught hold, and people like to come because they know they can buy unusual plants. And this was last spring. I mean, a year ago spring. We're going to have a plant sale this spring too.
Is it every year or every other year?
Every other year we're doing it, right? And we do it in conjunction with the library used book sale. Okay, this was the mimulus bed. Was it say 2006? Okay, still sort of struggling, not real happy. I just wanted to show you that miracles do happen. And this was not last spring, 2 years ago. I was down at Linkso, and I was going to buy compost, and I saw this really beautiful black stuff, and so I bought a couple of yards of de-still compost, which is from the turkey farm up in Sonora. And honestly, it's the best thing in this garden. It was unbelievable. We put it in 3 beds, and everything just exploded. And I've used it in my garden. I can't say enough for it. And unfortunately, it's expensive, but worth it. It was just the best thing. And those plants just thrive for spring into summer. It was wonderful.
Quick question, did you just top dress?
We top dressed it. We did not dig it in. And it was, we put about a yard on each bed, and it wasn't that deep. It was about, half an inch or so.
Really?
Just amazing. I
Really liked it.
Yeah. Now we figured, we talked to this music, if we could get a pickup truck and go up to Sonora and get it ourselves, we'll get a little bit here and there. Okay, anyway, recommended highly, Linkso. And then this is another photo of the grass bed, meadow bed.
Could you talk a little bit about the paths?
The what?
About the paths.
Oh, the path?
What's the material of the paths?
It's just gravel. It's small. It's called Goldfields, I think. We get it at Linkso. Gold vines, right. Okay, gold vines.
Yeah.
It's small, 3/4. It's not. Yes, I believe. And we have to replace it. We put a little bit every 3 years or so. Here it is.
Do weeds come up in it?
Yes.
Weeds and native plants.
Yeah, boy, some of our plants love the gravel. Where we wanted the gravel to work, it didn't work, but it works quite well here.
So it looks so neatly edged because you've been pulling the weeds from the path.
We do spray the paths. Because
How thick is the gravel?
not very thick.
It's not thick.
No.
Yeah.
It's not.
Are the weeds easy to pull?
No, well, some things are easy and some are not. But I've sort of given up, and we spray. Otherwise.
Part of it is that it's a public garden, and so it's very important to keep it looking attractive, neat and tidy.
Yeah.
And, it's not like your own personal garden.
Yeah. And part of our philosophy is we want it to look good. We want people to like these plants and put them in their garden. So we try to take care of them. And if it's all weedy, people say, I don't want to do that. And then these are just shots of the garden taken over the years. I have a friend who was a photographer, and he took some beautiful pictures. He was very artistic, and I just love that one. And then this is our redwood grove still. And we planted the ferns, woodwardias.
The woodwardias now are even more mature.
Yeah, they're just beautiful.
Really glorious.
They're very happy. Very hard to plant under the redwoods, just the roots of the redwoods. It was just really tough with picking it up, digging it up. And then this is just outside the library. And again, these manzanitas are 40 years old. I'm not sure the variety. I think it's McMahon, but that's some of the rock work that Jack Stafford did. And there's, I think, a lovely picture of the meadow in the spring. And now we're going to show you some of the indigo, our favorite plants, and what's doing well. This is a mixture of heucheras. Our favorite is Wendy, which has done very well for us. This is Maxima on the left. I'm not sure what the right one is. It's a lower one. And then our columbine, which we have down in the wet area, the riparian, and that seeds itself all over in the paths. It's very pretty. We have lupin that volunteers in the garden.
There's some volunteers we let go. It's kind of fun to see where they'll come up.
Yeah.
And then there are other volunteers who
We
pull our hair out.
Yeah, we don't want those. And we went searching for this about 7 or 8 years ago. This is a low-growing Fremontodendron, Ken Taylor. And at the time, I couldn't find any in the trade. And I did find some from Las Politas down in Santa Margarita. And so my husband was very kind. He went down. He went down the day of the earthquake in San Luis Obispo. But he brought back 3, including this one. And it's just glorious. It really is very pretty. And then this is a lupin that I bought at the Western Hort meeting. I think this was one of the plant picks from the landscape show. I think it's real. I just think the foliage is beautiful. And then the Ceanothus Vandenberg. I bought a small. I don't buy anything 5-gallon occasionally, but mostly 1 gallon. This is just done beautifully. It's large, and I guess it'll get larger, but it's just a gorgeous plant.
How large is large?
Well, right now it's this high, but I understand it's going to get taller. So.
Like I know Ray Hartman. I mean that's
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But again, it depends, where it is. Remember, Carol Bornstein said she made the mistake of planting it in her garden, and it was way too big. So we'll wait and see. And then I bought a Ceanothus tuxedo at the Western Hort. I just, had to have the newest darling. I have to say we're both plantaholics. we love plants. And I was able to get several of these. And they're doing okay. They're tall. It's a little mildew in the winter, but...
yeah, mine's just starting to get some. I didn't have it the first year.
Yeah, I had one of ours was badly mildewed, but the other 2 are fine.
And when do they bloom?
I had a couple of blooms recently, but it's sort of rangy. Yeah, it's not
Because I thought
compact.
they were supposed to bloom in September, and mine bloomed in May.
Right. Well, I had 2 blooms last month or this month, so we'll wait and see. But they've grown nicely. But it was really pretty today with the sunlight in this garden. We have a lot of lamus, sort of the gray with the brown. It's really pretty.
Are they in full sun?
Yeah,
Yes.
They are. And then I found this down at Santa Barbara Botanic Garden, and everyone is loving this plant. This is Pershore Zanzibar. I looked up Pershore as a school in the UK, and they developed this Ceanothus, and it's just really lovely. Available everywhere on Forest Farms, and then in some nursery on the East Coast, that's all I could know. But it's supposed to going to get big, but it's just grown beautifully for us. It's morning sun. And Carpentaria, Elizabeth. Before the de-stale compost, I mean, the things were just shrimps. And they really look beautiful. There's a close-up. Just, I think, a lovely plant. And this is an original. This is Berberis navinii. And I love this. I think it looks beautiful at all times. And now it has little red berries on it. You don't want to walk by it. But it's a great barrier plant, but it's just wonderful.
Does it just stay low?
Pardon?
Does it stay low? No,
Or is it, yeah.
Or you keep it.
We haven't. No, we don't prune it.
It's slow.
It's just a nice rounded mound facing west, so it gets hot afternoon sun. And then this Sarah got from
Barry Coates.
Barry Coates. This is a chemise, a prostrate. It's about this high though. It's not real low. And that's old too, isn't it? One of the original.
Slow. Well, for us, it's been a slow growth.
Yeah. And then I'm interested in vine maples. And I found this one up at Gosler Farm. There's a nursery that is doing these new hybrids of vine maples. And I think this is beautiful today. It's just gorgeous color, just red and very nice.
How tall is this one? Or
This won't get really big, I don't think. But right now it's just a baby. It was just a gallon can that I bought a year and a half ago. We have other vine maples that are quite large.
Like 40, 50.
Not that high yet. They're under the redwoods. We have a cedar tree. We have a Santa Lucia fir, and they're all sort of... But I don't think this one's, from what I read, is going to get as tall. So. And then the Sisyrinchium. This is the low-growing one. And we get that volunteers. Not this one, but the other one is volunteering all over. So pretty in the spring. And then the Epilobium, which is in blooming now. We have several varieties. This is Selectmatol, which I like for the leaves. We also I'm planting LT Gray, which is supposed to be larger and more open. My favorite grass, Calamagrostis foliosa. Just a great grass. You don't have to do anything to it. We don't cut it back. I might rake it a little bit, but it's just a beautiful grass.
So you won't cut it like the other grass?
No, I have not at all.
How do you keep gophers out?
Pardon?
How do you keep gophers out? They ate mine.
Well, we have gophers, but they're not in this bed yet. I don't know. So far, they haven't.
How big is yours growing?
Pardon?
It's
How
low.
big?
Would you say knee-high?
What, the Calamagrostis?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not knee-high, just calf height, I think, very low.
Because it looks big there.
Yeah, well, because it's a close-up picture. No, it's low, and then we have it with the Epilobium. But it's great. And when we tried to find this grass again in the year 2001, remember we went all over. There was none to be had in the trade because Jonathan Plant, the landscaper, had thought it was the world's greatest grass, and he had everybody growing it for him, and he was selling it to his clients for mass planting. So it's funny how things. Anyway, you can buy it now. And then this is our buckeye. We have a couple of buckeyes.
How old would you say that tree is?
That's old.
That probably was an original.
But probably small, do you think?
Yeah, it was probably
Right.
1970.
And then the 9-bark on the right of the bench, or the chair, is a prostrate variety. That you tell about it, Timmy?
That's a plant that, when people heard that Timmy was creating this garden and being the plants woman that she went all over California. so people knew what she was about. So people started bringing her material, and that's one, Physocarpus. It's a terrific ground cover. I don't know where it came from. I know very little about it, but it's one we should be propagating.
So which plant are we looking at?
It's a Physocarpus on the other side of the bench in there.
No, okay.
What is it called again?
Physocarpus.
I think it's Physocarpus prostrata. All right.
Yeah, there's a prostate form of it, it's a giant.
It says Physocarpus capitatus prostrate form.
Thank you.
Maybe we should get busy. I'm going to propagate that, okay. It's very nice. And then Jessie Strilling had recommended this plant. She was helpful for us selecting plants, and this is down in the wet area, and this has been very successful. In fact, too successful. I have every year when we pull the leaves die, then we get the shovel in there and divide these big things. But it's a lovely plant.
It looks like blue flowers, are they really blue?
No, they're pink.
They're pink. They're pink.
Okay.
Pink. And then Sarah and I had seen this up at Tilden Park, Cornocessalus. And it's not terribly large. It's probably about this big. And we have that down in the wet area too. It's just a beautiful, lovely green leaf. And we bought that up at Tilden. And our hummingbird sage, which I love, smells so good. We have a lot of different salvias. And then there's the grass in winter with the water, the rain on it. And then we have an iris bed under the oak trees. And the irises are moving all over the place. So we talked about that today. We're going to dig some up, put some in the plant cell.
Can you talk about how you maintain this bed? What do you do to keep it happy?
We just were talking, about every 3 years we cut it all the way down now with a weed whacker. It doesn't, it's better if we could do it by hand, but we cut it down to get rid of all the dead foliage.
You give that the distal?
We did not, but Sarah and I were at the garden today, and we decided we're going to we're going to put it everywhere. And just so we had our last plant sale was very successful, so I think we can afford it. Yeah. And this is a small. We looked at this today. It doesn't look very good today, but in the spring it's beautiful. It's not very big, very slow grower.
Are you saying because of the time of year it doesn't look good, or
Right now, yeah. No, it just doesn't look good this time of year, sort of like Fremontodendron. This I saw at the Dry Garden in Berkeley, and this is a hybrid of our Fremontodendron. Let's see what I've got here. It's a cross between two genera, Fremontodendron Pacific Sunset and Chiranthodendron, a Mexican hand tree. And this looks wonderful now, even though it's not in bloom. It doesn't look like a normal Fremontodendron, sort of dead and bad. But look at the flowers. I mean, it's going to get big, and it can take summer water. It's not temperamental. And I think we'll see more of this in the trade. I'm just reading. I think it was hybridized at Rancho Santa Ana about 15 years ago.
Lee Lenz on it. Lee Lenz was the director of Rancho Santa Ana.
Right, okay. But the flower is sensational, and it's been growing very well for us. And ours is about 8-9 feet, something like that, yeah. And I tried Fremontodendron there before, and it just died. So I was very happy with this. Okay. Grandilia, I like that real kind of English kind of a garden, and we've it's sort of messy, but we'll cut it back now. It looks bad now, but we'll cut it back next week. And nice for this time of year to have the color. And we have a few poppies. They've never been terribly successful in our garden. So it's funny, everybody says they're all pigs, but they're not in our garden. And then this is Mimulus Eleanor, which is a Yerba Buena nursery introduction. And we had a competition in our garden club. We got 4 inches in the fall, and it was a challenge class, and several members grew these on, and then we had a flower show and we were judged, and then several of them were planted in our garden. I love the color. I think it's really pretty. And Philadelphus, Goose Creek. And this is an older picture of the Dudley a bit. We've put in, what else have we put in this?
The Louisia.
Louisia. We put some Louisia in. Yeah.
So this looks pretty gravelly.
That's gravelly. And then last year we replanted and we added more gravel. So that.
And rocks.
And rock.
And the irrigation, though, you do have irrigation.
Well, it doesn't, we've shut it off for that. But it's coming down the hill, so it does get. But once it rains, all those Dudley will just explode. I mean, just are really nice. Okay, finally, I was visiting Ledoux Gardens in Maryland, and I saw this, and it just really just made me happy. And the first step says, if you would be happy, take a wife.
For a week.
For a week.
Very important.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't write that down. Thank you. If you would be happy for a month, kill your pig. But if you would be happy all your life, plant a garden. It's an ancient Chinese proverb. But it's really nice.
For a week.
Anyway, I think we all relate to that, right? If you have any questions, Sarah and I would be happy to. Yes.
We have a lot of questions. I hope you have time. Could you talk a little bit about, you said that some plants didn't do well, and then you heated the soil and all. Could you talk about the plant failures? What plants didn't do well?
Right. We had problems with the Fremontodendron. We had problems with the Mimulus.
We've lost bulbs to...
We planted a lot of bulbs, and they're all in our gopher's stomachs. I don't bother with those anymore.
So you don't use cages, wire cages to plant?
We tried that, but it just...
Oh, they're ugly.
They're ugly, and I think they go over. We had a really pretty in the meadow. We had a beautiful Camassia, and it's gone.
So all these things are surviving without wire baskets?
Yes.
But you still have gophers there.
We have gophers. We were looking today. We've got some big mounds, and but I don't like to put poison. I did it once, and I don't like putting poison out. And setting the traps. The garden is open during the library hours, and the kids come from grammar school over. And I'm a little nervous about having traps put out there. So we have a neighbor cat that comes in, but he's not very good. So we just think it's sort of live with it.
Do you have any redbud?
We do. That's a failure.
That's a
Really? It hasn't done well.
No, Ron had designed it to go into the salvia bed, and it just sat there. I mean, it hardly grew at all. And I moved it over to a different area, and it's still sitting there, just not doing well at all.
I think it likes water.
Maybe, yeah.
But also good drainage, I
Right.
think.
And I think this bed that it's in doesn't get really good drainage as part of it. So,
I moved ours up to the end of the septic line and it went up to 15 feet.
okay. Well, maybe we'll move
Tells you
it.
something.
Maybe we move it down to the riparian area. It's worth a try.
The upper edge of it. Maybe.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we could do that. Maybe by the dogwoods or something.
Well, it grows in the, I guess it's the Merced River Canyon coming out of Yosemite, and it's in the rock scree that comes down the mountain. I'm sure there's just water flowing underneath.
Right, but again, good drainage. Yeah.
Yes, along the Los Gatos Creek Trail, they've got dozens and dozens of them planted there, and they've grown quite nicely.
Yeah. Well, we do water the garden.
How much do you water it?
Good question. We have 7 stations. I don't like the way that the water was designed. It's not quite to my liking, but we water probably twice a week at 2 or 3 in the morning. Some beds get 20 minutes. Some get 30 minutes. The redwoods still have hard steel emitters, and that gets much more water. Maybe, I can't remember, 45 minutes twice a week, something like that.
Water, in my mind, is the most difficult aspect of the garden. That's one of the reasons why we have lost probably half the plants that we've lost, of just not getting the watering right.
Yeah, that's true. Could be too much or too little.
Yeah,
it's hard. And so we just experiment.
We have new plants next to mature plants.
Oh, that's hard.
It's always difficult.
Well, the new next to the old, then do you have to hand water to bring them up to speed?
No, we started, we'll put in a new emitter. And my husband, he's just been really terrific. And we check that system a couple times a month. He'll run all of the lines because, like today we found one emitter just pulled out of it. So.
When you check the emitters, are you actually checking the volume that comes out?
We run the system, and then
just visually, or do you actually put it into a cup and measure how much comes out?
No, we don't do that. No,
okay.
We know the different gallons per hour on the different colors of the sprays. But we run the system, and then if it's clogged, which usually is most of the time it gets clogged, or the raccoons have pulled it up or chewed the tubing and all that kind of stuff. But the garden, does get water.
Yeah.
Everything? Even Fremont-dendron and
Well, that Fremont-dendron, that hybrid gets water.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the hybrid, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she said
The
that.
other ones get a little bit of water, but not much.
Really? Huh.
They're thriving. The decumbents, they look great. So.
So you said it was an acre, right?
About an acre, yes.
So today, now that it's fully established and all of that, could you give us an idea of how many person-hours of maintenance time you spend, say per month or whatever?
Yeah.
Is there a seasonality to it?
There is seasonality to it. Right now we're really busy cutting back plants, dividing the iris. We have a lot of wild strawberry that we have to clean out, and we also have these violets that just have gone everywhere. They're very happy. We like taking over. So all that kind of thing, cutting back all the 9-bark, coppicing. We're going to coppice the snowberry. We did that a couple of years ago, and that works. It just is overgrown. So a lot of big work. A couple of years ago, because we've been successful with our plant sale and we have money, I've been able to hire my gardener. So he comes about once a month, and like on a Saturday morning with his helper, spends 2 hours. Well, he gets a fantastic amount of work done. And so we've been using him, and he does not charge that much. My budget for the last few years has been about $3,000 a year. so it's not too bad. The ladies are enthusiastic, but it's only so much. And, Sarah, you have to really train them how to cut back the origeron, not just cut it. You got to go all the way down, and so it's more of a labor of love on my part. I'd rather just have a gardener come in, or myself. I'll go in there and weed. So. But seasonal now. Springtime, the weeds. We get this geranium weed. I'm sure you all have it. Oh, it's just awful. We can pull it before it gets seed, but it just is bad. I do use a pre-emerge for grass in the past. So just, see, we can't do it. We just can't keep it going. So.
How do you get the compost from the parking lot up into the fence?
Wheelbarrow.
Yeah, we have a pickup, and my husband will go get it, or we only had, I think it was 3 yards. So maybe we had them deliver it, and they just dumped it in that parking area. We will hire day laborers. We'll get a couple of guys, and it's not legal, but it sure works. And they're not that expensive, and they're hard workers, and I feed them lunch, and they do all that really heavy duty stuff for us. So.
Finding out proper maintenance is always a struggle. What do you have a resource that you recommend? I mean, there is that one binder, for the Southern California.
Right. No, I
rely on that one, but it doesn't have enough.
No, it doesn't. It's trial and error. Is what pretty much. What do you think, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
And like we had the Lambs Canyon Prince, which is beautiful, but it spreads. But I did not cut it back a year ago. I didn't know if you cut it back in the fall, and we tried to look it up and didn't. It was looking messy. Well, this dear lady was in there cleaning out, cutting all the dead branches out. I did read now that we can cut it back now, and we'll dig it up. It's spreading, and so we'll do that. So it's just a process of knowing when to do that, when to coppice, when to that kind of thing, and I'm just learning. And I do a lot of, thank God for the internet. You can get a lot of information that way.
And talking to other gardeners.
Yeah.
Write a book.
No.
She'd be good.
Yeah.
Did you ever use wood chip mulch or organic mulch for weed control?
We did. Timmy used very large redwood chips, didn't she? Yeah. Which didn't do much. It wasn't enough of it. And then we did get redwood compost. I got from the soil farm in Half Moon Bay, and then I got some from Linkso. It's okay, but not like the diesel stuff. It really made a difference. And I don't use any fertilizer.
That is a fertilizer.
It is. It's got all kinds of minerals and stuff in it. So whatever our soil needed, that provided it. So it just really worked well. I do have a slow release fertilizer. I talked with David Frost because we have a little triangle in Woodside planted with some grass, Carex progressives, and just sort of sitting there doing nothing. So I called him and said, what's going on? And he thought, well, maybe the liners were root bound or something. Well, that's not the case. And he said, well, you need to cut it back to about 2 inches. And I said, what about fertilizer? And he said, well, give it, slow release. Well, I found some fertilizer that I was able to buy through the company Target, not Target stores, but it's an Osmocote. There's a different formulation. It's 7 or 8 months. And honestly, I've been using it in my begonias at home, and amazing stuff. So I think I'll use some of that. We have the rhododendrons, the occidentale, that are struggling. So I think I'll just give some of these a little bit of fertilizer. And, just want to see what it does. I don't think it'll kill it.
Since this is a city library, has the city helped you out at all financially?
Another good question. We have a deal with the town that any kind of hardscape they fix. And so we had these crumbling railroad tie walls, and so the town paid for those to be replaced. I now get them to pay for the pruning of the oak trees, which is a big deal. I have a guy who's wonderful, and he's not that expensive, but I can't use him because he's not licensed. And the town has to have a licensed guy, and so we use McClanahan or somebody, and the town pays for that, so that's fine. So, okay. And I have a wholesale account here and there at various nurseries in Boa being a Pacific nursery, so I'm able to buy plants at wholesale cost, which is helpful too. So, come and see the garden. I would suggest the springtime, even late winter is nice, is very nice.
What hours is it open?
Okay, the library's open during library hours, Monday through Thursday, 11 to 7, and Friday and Saturday, 11 to 5. But if you ever want to come on another time, call the library. They'll call me, and I'll be happy to meet you. And if you have a group of people or you just want to come and see it. We both live
Right there.
right there. And I love showing it, and we do that, so please do feel free to come.
What are your work days?
The first Monday of every month, I'm there at 9, and then we'll have a provisional class, and I have a little committee. I never know how many people are going to show up, so we work for 2 hours, 3 hours.
Will it be on the garden tour next year?
I didn't submit it, but I guess because it's been on so many times, I don't know if anybody would want to come. We had, we've been on the tour twice, and I think we've had 100 people come. I think your tours, people enjoy the smaller gardens. They enjoy what they can do in their garden with a piece of lawn and transform it. So I don't know if there's that much interest. And then we're up the northern end of all your tour too. So.
And it's going to be the same day as our plant sale.
Oh yeah. And when's our plant sale? Is that the same time?
It could be the same time. We're right in there.
Or we might be the next weekend.
It may be the next.
I think it's the next weekend. Okay. We have bought a lot of plants from you.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, we do. So.
But the tour and
Yeah, right. Difficult. Anyway, thank you for coming, and come and see the garden.
Yes.